Good evening. Thanks very much for coming back to my channel. So if you're tuning in, you will know that this is Inspirational Invitational, a live stream series, and this is episode 8. And today's guest is Andy Raynor, the Forest of Dean runner. Welcome to the channel, Andy. How you doing, mate?
Hey, thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate it. I'm doing well. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling refreshed from the weekend's effort. So yes, mate, not bad at all.
Good. Well, it's good to have you on. And I think some of my subscribers will definitely know who you are, but some people may not. So I thought the best thing to do would be to start off by you just talking a bit about your running background, like how you got into running and a little bit of your journey.
Sure. Okay, no problem at all. So I've been running for 3.5 years now, off the back of playing football for a heck of a lot of seasons, and just wanted a fresh challenge, something that I could push myself in. I am a team player, but you do find when you're playing in a team sport that you're kind of limited to what your team's abilities are. And so I just kind of wanted to, I'm just one of those annoying people that has to always have a challenge and has to always push themselves. So I started running January the 1st, 2015, New Year's resolution. And I'm lucky enough to live in an area which, I got to be honest, guys, is one of the best in the country for running, for trail running. It's just stunning. We've got everything here. And so about half a year into my running journey, like with anything, we start out in a sport and we just go hell for leather at it, and we don't know what we're doing, and we just, you know, we do what we think is right. And after about half a year, I started to be a bit more inquisitive, learn a bit more about running, get more involved. And I found YouTube, and I found channels on YouTube, Ginger Runner, Sage Canaday, other channels, and I was kind of like inspired by this, you know, video making. And although I didn't like to put myself in front of camera, I thought, my word, we've got such an amazing area here. I've got to take people out. So I set up my YouTube channel 2.5 years ago, or nearly 3 years ago now, and started filming the Forest of Dean. So if you look back at my earliest videos, which I don't recommend you do because they're horrific, but if you do, they're just of a shaky camera. But in the forest, I just wanted to showcase the area, and from there, the channel grew and went from there. And my running has just progressed to an obsession, I guess, and just a continual want and desire to do more. And here we are, 3.5 years in, still pushing and challenging ourselves.
Good stuff. And we've got the live chat going already whilst you've been talking through that. So Jeffrey's in. Here we are, Runners here. Runners Ramble says our eat.
Our man
here as well. So guys, if you've got any questions for Andy, obviously, as you know, get them in the live chat, and we'll start getting on to some questions in a bit. So yeah, you talked about obviously living in the Forest of Dean, and you've just had a marathon there this weekend, which you've done, haven't you? So talk us through that.
Yeah, okay. So don't really know where to start, and I don't want to bore you with all the details, but the Forest of Dean is just an area which is just trail galore, and you could have ultras here, 100Ks here. It's just that type of place that's built for that sort of distance and that running. We've got buffed out fire road trails, we've got technical uphills, downhills, we've got everything, you name it. And for some reason or another, we tend not to attract marathon distances. We tend to have a spring and an autumn marathon that's run by our Rotary Club. We have a few other events by some fantastic local organisers of other smaller race companies, but other than that, we tend not to have a marathon. And if we do, it's like a 4-loop course of a 10K, and it's, you know, that's not what I like. So when I found out that someone was bringing a marathon to the forest, I jumped on the opportunity. I thought, regardless of training, regardless of what I'm training for, I'm doing this marathon. I don't care what shape I'm in. You know, I'll try and tune up for it. I kept it really casual. I decided 7 weeks out that I was going to do it. And I just, you know, and I knew I was going to have a week off holiday in between. So I just did 3 solid weeks of higher mileage, higher vertical, had a week off, did another 2 weeks of decent mileage, tapered down, and just ran it. And it's obviously not a road marathon, so it had 2,200 foot of climbing in it, so it was a beast. I knew a lot of the hills, I knew a lot of the course. I run a lot of the tracks that it was anyway, and to piece it all together was was awesome, or so I thought it was going to be. Yeah, so we've obviously had this horrific weather. We've trained and trained hard, and race day comes, and yeah, we get a heat wave, and it was like 21 degrees, and yeah, it got messy. It got messy, but it was the most amazing experience ever. And normally when we run marathons, I normally have real negativity after it, and I know a lot of people suffer with getting back into running after marathons because it completely devoids them of all energy, enthusiasm for running. And I always say to people that have just finished a marathon, just do some shorter, sharper stuff, book a 10K, have a bit of fun. But I came off the back of this marathon wanting more, and I've never felt like that, and it didn't go to plan, but I coaxed myself through it, and I finished it, and I crossed the line. I was like, I want to do this again. So yeah, it was a pretty epic trail marathon.
And you placed pretty well. You came 7th, didn't you?
Yeah, it was an annoying day because I knew kind of what pace I wanted to go out at. I wanted to be comfortable, I wanted to be conversational. I was chatting with runners the whole way. But the problem is that the event wasn't particularly well shouted about around here until later on. So they only had 100 people across the half and the full. It transpires at the end that the full only had 35 people in it. The half had 75. But we all started at the same time, and it wasn't until mile 9 that we split off. So I didn't know what was going on, who was in what race. There was no bibs, weren't different colours or anything. So no one knew until the split off, sorry. And you know, I started back in about 15th place. I let everyone bomb forward on the start. If you watch my video, you'll see the intro, and then I pause it when there's me, and there's all these people bombing past me, and I'm just chilling out, going nice and slow. And I went out there, and slowly but surely towards mile 9, I just overtook people, feeling good, making sure I was doing all the mental checks. Is my form good? Is my breathing good? How was my pace? Do I think I can hold this for 26 miles? All of that stuff. I repeatedly doing that every mile. And we were strung out by mile 2. You know, it was like a long training run, which was a little bit demoralizing because I was running on my own. There was no one to tag on to, talk to. So literally every runner that I came up on, I spoke to. I was like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? And we had a conflab for about a minute, and then I kept going, and so on and so forth, because I just needed conversation. And we got to mile 9, and I was running with 2 runners, and they both went that way, and I carried on. I was like, bye. And I couldn't see anyone in front of me. There was no one behind me. And I thought, my word, this is going to be a mental test, because although I was running at a comfortable pace, it wasn't easy run pace. Obviously, it was marathon pace on the trails, and so I kept going, and I got to the halfway point. So the GPS came up short. It was actually 25.68 miles, and the GPS came up short, but their halfway point was at 12.4 miles. Now I went through that halfway point at 1:29, and I thought, this is cool. This is cool, because I'm going to go through the half marathon about 1:35. That is brilliant. Exactly what I wanted. Felt comfortable with that. Sure enough, 13.1 miles, bleeps, you know, on my watch, 1:35, bang on. Going down the hill, hit mile 15 when there was, and by the time we'd done that, we'd done a heck of a lot of climbing, and the heat was really setting in. But I could see 3rd place behind me, about 200 meters back. I could see 1st place in front of me. It transpired when we split off that I was in 2nd. So I was like, okay, this is cool. And I hit mile 15, looked up at this hill, which was 1.5 miles long, probably the biggest climb in the race. And I won't repeat what I said, but it was something along the lines of, fluff that, I'm not going to run up that hill, I'm going to walk. So I walked for about 20 seconds. I looked up, the 1st place was walking. Looked behind me, 3rd place was just catching, but I started running again after 20 seconds, made it all the way to the top of the hill. 3rd place nowhere to be seen. I thought, he's taking a break, that's cool. 1st place 100 meters in front of me, and I was thinking, this is brilliant. You know, if we can just keep up this, you know, walk run strategy, while I did the descent on that at mile 17, hit the bottom, looked up at the next climb, and this was the second to last big climb, and something came over me. Don't know what it was, but my race at that point ended. Heat, over drinking, totally overdrank. I was not dehydrated. I was feeling sick from drinking so much, in fear of being dehydrated, and I just walked. I walked for half a mile. Third place went up, caught up to me. He walked with me for a bit. We chatted. He went on. He was the eventual winner because first place was up there in front of me walking, and I never caught first. And from that point onwards to mile 21, I was in third place. Walk, ran, half and half split. Mile 21, I just mentally checked out completely and spent the next 3 miles solidly walking. Didn't run once, just walked for 3 miles. And that for me was when I was talking to the camera, reflecting, feeling a bit down, but going, okay, circumstances out of your control. You've overdrank, and I knew it at the time. A bit frustrated with myself. It's hot. I've done a good job. I kept saying, you've done a good job. Don't stress. You're fine. And in that time, another 3 people overtook me. So I was then in 6th. And then I plodded like an old man from mile 24 to the finish. And someone else overtook me, and I came in 7th in 3 hours 50. So I was pleased, but I was on for a lot better time and a lot better placing if I hadn't I think over drinking was my issue, to be honest with you, because at that point I got to the end of the race, didn't feel weak at all, didn't feel anything. I'd only had 2 gels, and I hadn't even drunk a bottle of Tailwind. I barely had any calories like I thought I was going to. I had 4 gels still in my pocket, so I knew I hadn't overexerted myself at that point. So yeah, 7th place overall, delighted with it, totally underestimated it. Can't wait for it to come back next year.
Yeah, and I think the story you've just told there about battling the heat in a marathon, that's been a common theme over the last few weekends.
Oh, yes.
Regardless of where people have been running, we've had some ridiculous temperatures for the UK, and I know that a couple of people are saying, so we've got Colin the big pink dresses on. He's saying, you know, you need interaction in a long race, so massive congratulations on your run. And FOD sort of says similar. He doesn't know how you're doing it without the crowds. It must be lonely. So
very lonely. There's no one there.
I know how hard it was for me in London and Milton Keynes. But like, for example, Milton Keynes, that there was kids out with water pistols spraying you, calling you down. So you had that like crowd support and that help. But you know, you didn't have that. So mentally, how do you deal with that?
It was really difficult. I'm not going to lie. There was only 3 water stops, 3 aid stations. They had no food on any of them. It was completely self-supporting. They just had water, and I would literally, you know, there was not a soul. I didn't even pass a dog walker. It was crazy. And it's just, like you said, with the heat, with Milton Keynes and whatever in London, it's been insane. And when you're peaking at 1,000 foot on a trail, because we're not high altitude here, but we are one of the higher places in the country, and when you peak at 1,000 foot and the trail just kind of like, you're suddenly in all these trees, and then suddenly all these trees have been felled around you, you're at the top of a hill, you've got that heat haze in front of you, you feel like you're a frying egg in a pan, and you're like, I've got a mile of this trail before I dip back down into some shade. You know, and I look at myself as being lucky knowing the trails that I was running, but it didn't make it any easier. And I just kept talking to myself, you know, if I'm honest. I got through it by talking to myself, by doing my mental checklists. Is my form okay? Is my breathing okay? Can I keep this up? Da, 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 da. Bit of a sing-song, sung to myself, you know, anything that would take my mind off the fact that I was on my Todd in the middle of the forest. And it wasn't until mile 18 when there was maybe 5 people shouting, and bless him, one of the lads came from our athletics club, Corey, came out and shouted for me. What a legend he was, and shout out to him. He just ran a 2:59 in Newport, so he got his good for age time, and he was first under 20 in the whole race. And bless him, he was out there shouting for me. And that was it. That was all I had. And he was like, come on, come on. And I literally got around the corner, just walked. And it's Well, I think people underestimate the power of crowd support. I really do. There was nothing in here egging me on to run. It was like, if my mind said I was going to walk, I was going to walk. So I think it's about playing mental mind games with yourself, talking, singing, doing your checks. Have I got enough fluid on board? Da 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 da. And actually, I think that was to my detriment, because I kept overthinking it. Have I drunk enough? Oh no, maybe not. I better drink a bit more, and that led to the over drinking. So there's a fine balance, and I've got to put my hands up and say I didn't get it right.
It's such a tricky one, because you don't drink enough, you're dehydrated. You drink too much, you can get hyponatremia, which is bloody dangerous. Yeah. And you've got to find that middle ground, which is going to work. But you know, what is that middle ground? Because we don't really get to train in hot conditions in the UK.
No.
And you come across that in a race, it just catches us out, doesn't it? And it's really tough. Man. I saw one guy at Milton Keynes just puking his guts up at the side. I was walking at this point there, so I said to him, "You all right?" and checked on him. And he said, "It's just the gels. I've had too many gels. They're all coming up, you know." And it's an easy mistake to make, isn't it? And,
yeah, very, mate, very. If someone knows that winning formula, you'll be a millionaire.
Yeah, and I've seen things, you know, I've never looked too deeply into it, but about measuring your sweat rate and figuring out how much water you lose in an hour, and you know how much to drink. There's some science behind it, but I've never bothered too much with it myself. So
I think it's trial and error. And at the end of the day, our body compositions are all different. You know, I'm 14 stone, I'm 90 kilos. Yeah, I'm quite a slender build because I'm 6'6". Whereas someone like James, my friend, he's 80 kilos or maybe even a bit less. I don't know. And he's like 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", maybe. I'm not sure. So obviously he's going to need a heck of a lot of different calories to me. I need a lot more calories than most people. I burn a lot more calories. But as far as fluids go, no idea.
Yeah, that's it. And just before we went live, Andy said to me, the Forest of Dean Marathon, you didn't actually get a medal, did you, mate?
No t-shirt, no medal. It's one of those, the OMM has this amazing history of producing some of the toughest races out there. Like, I've been invited to go, which I don't think I'm going to be able to do, in their October race. It's basically like, here's a map, see that mountain, you got to get around that, off you go, and you've got to carry a sleeping bag and a tent, and it's full on self-supporting mode. You know, it's totally different, and that scares me, if I'm honest. But that's kind of what they're about. They are very much, I'd say, more primitive, raw to the bone running, and I like that. I like it a lot. Yeah, I'd like something to show for my efforts. It was really tough, but at the same time, I'm not one that does something for the bling. I'm not too worried. I do a lot of local races that doesn't get bling. I mean, as I said to you before we went live, like, it's a marathon. I would like something, but at the same time, I get where they're coming from in terms of like what they want to promote. They just want to promote proper, just outright racing, strip it back to the basics. Here's the start line, here's the finish line, off you go.
Yeah, and it's completely different to the sort of road racing that most people are used to, isn't it? And we've got a fair few more people in the chat now. Run with Style, we've got Big Pink Dress on there. I see there's a lot of love for Big Pink Dress in the chat. Everybody's saying.
You know what? I saw he was on a Great Run TV on his video. I watched it today. He was talking to people about his training, and he goes out and wears layers, and sometimes goes out running in the dress. And it's about 48 dresses he's worn. And I was like, what? Crazy man! What a legend for running in all that kit. So massive respect.
Yeah, he is. He's a legend. Right, so we've got some questions. I did see some. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so 40 Runs asks, Andy, are you a member of a running club? And second question, what's your plan for your channel? So you've got two questions there.
Yes, I'm a member of the Forest of Dean Athletics Club, and a proud member of, because, you know, I haven't been a member of it for a long time, but they're such a great group. They put on such great races, and I can only but support them. I try and do as many of the local races that they put on. I'm doing their race coming up, the Fountain 5, in 2 weeks' time. They're just a great bunch of people, and they've been so supportive since I've joined. So yeah, I'm part of that. And as far as the channel goes, I'm not, the ethos of the channel was simply to promote the Forest of Dean. And as my running journey's grown, I have incorporated my training and documented my training, because I think someone said after my first 10 videos of never turning the camera around, someone said, oh, hey, it might be cool to actually see the person behind the camera. And ironically, it's my first vlog that of introing myself that's got one of my, is like top 3 videos on my channel, which is really annoying because it's terrible. But since then, I've been a bit more interactive with the camera, but I will just continue to collaborate, continue to share my journey, share what's going on in the Forest of Dean, and help promote local races around here. It's all about the area for me, for sure.
Okay, cool. And Jeffrey's asked them, Andy, are you going to be doing any ultra marathons this year or next year?
Do you know, an ultra marathon does appeal to me. And this OMM race gave me a taster into the ultra world, for sure. I mean, I know it was only a marathon distance, but that's probably more like what an ultra's like. If you picked a 50k or something, a 50k would be the next step. But if I'm honest with you, my heart and soul is in getting quicker at the 10k and half marathon. That's my bread and butter. Like, I was talking to people on the weekend, the people that finished above me, and you know, realistically, I'm a half marathoner dabbling in a marathon. These guys were using this as a warm-up to, is it Race for the Stones or Race to the Tower, whichever one's coming in June or July?
Yeah, we went up to
50-mile race or something, and I'm like, you know, no wonder you just breeze past me without an issue, because that's what you're training for, and this is a training run for you. This, for me, is pushing me to my limits. So I think I'd have to have a mental mind shift if I wanted to fully switch. Yes, an ultra appeals to me. Yes, I'd love to do one, but when, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, stepping up to an ultra seems a natural progression, but you know, having done one, I can definitely say I'm not an ultra runner. It's something you've got to try, I think, at some point, if you want to keep challenging and finding your limits and all of that. But you will learn whether it's for you as long as you do it.
I think people are either short distance or long distance. I think you either prefer one or the other. And because I used to play on the wing in football, I'm used to my lungs burning. I'm used to sprinting. I'm used to fast twitch stuff. And that's where I get the kick, the adrenaline. When I go out in a 10k on the gun and my heart is beating in my chest within the first half mile, and I know I've got to hold that for another 6 miles, that's where I get the kick, because then you get the whole 6 miles of adrenaline going, am I going to be able to hold this? Am I not going to be able to hold this? Have I gone out too fast? Have I not gone out too fast? Am I going too slow? You know, and you get all of those questions. And then when you cross the line and you know that you've got that burning feel, that's what I thrive on. That's a bit sadistic, I know, but I really enjoy that self-inflicted burning pain that I've pushed my body to my limits. With the marathon on the weekend, I pushed my body, I pushed my mental state to its limits, but my body wasn't tested. I woke up on Sunday absolutely fine, because I hadn't run the marathon. I'd run 17, 18 miles and then run the rest. So yeah, so I didn't feel like I tested myself, which is why hopefully they'll bring it back next year, and I'd love to give it a better crack.
Yeah, and if the weather's cooler, I think you'd be able to do that. Yeah, you've had a compliment here from Lean Warrior Lifestyle saying that you were his first introduction to YouTube runners, and you've helped him such a lot. You're a top bloke. That's nice feedback. Thank you, mate.
He's a legend, because I did a little Facebook Live thing with him, and he's such a nice chap, and he's on a road too. He'd just done his first 5k, and now he's on a training for a 10k. You know, and he openly shares his battles and his successes and mixes them all together, and he does a great job. He's a top lad.
Okay, right. So I've got a question from Run With Style. Andy, what was your toughest race mentally and physically?
Naturally, I should say this weekend, but I think because I'd had time to talk myself through the situation whilst I was running, I mentally got through it. When I stopped running, although I was walking, I was power hiking, let's say, or power walking. So I was never not putting any effort in, and I got to the line and wanted to do it again. So I know that wasn't my toughest, because the toughest would mean I'd finish that, cross that line, and think I never want to do it again. So probably the Brecon Beacons half marathon last year. That was another level, and that was a half marathon with 3,500 foot And if any of you know the Brecon Beacons, it's like they're a mountain range, and we literally would be running a bit of undulation, mile 3 hit, and you just go, and you're like, I've got to climb that thing, and you're scrambling up on your hands and knees. And I took one gel with me because I thought it was a half marathon. I was done by mile 6. The amount of effort that went into that was crazy. And that was another one where I was in second place the whole way and finished 4th because I faded so badly at the end. But that mentally was, that killed me. Definitely the Brecon Beacons half marathon.
Yeah. Okay. So a runner's ramble wants to know, have you ever been properly lost in the Forest of Dean?
You can easily get properly lost, but because I know roughly, I've gone on trails that I don't know where I'm going, but I know roughly where they lead. And the rule of thumb is when you live in a place like this, in all seriousness, is like just continually turn left or continually turn right, so you end up going back in a circle. So I've had to do that a few times. What's more scary is being out on a trail you don't know in the middle of summer when there are ferns either side of you and you hear this grunting and you know you've disturbed a wild boar and you're about to get charged at. That's far more scary than getting lost. I can assure you of that.
I'm glad you said wild boar because I had a totally different picture.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that goes on here as miles, mate. Don't worry. You go out in here late at night in some car parks, you'll see all sorts going on.
And that's just the runners.
Yeah.
Right, so a couple more questions then. Lean Warrior Lifestyle wants to know, any good tips for avoiding injuries? He's doing a couch to 10K and it worries him a lot being injured.
I spent, even though my legs were fine after Saturday, I rolled, stretched and made sure my recovery was on point 3 days in a row. So I went out last night for the first time. So even though my legs were fine, I gave myself 3 days rest and I recovered sensibly. When you get to the point where you start to push your body more, all runners start out. I watched a great video today from Chris FOD Runs about new people running, what you should and shouldn't do. And he hit the nail on the head where people to go out and do too much too soon. And if you're sensible, you will run and you will recover, whether that's stretching, rolling, whatever it is. If you can feel a niggle, address it, roll it out, see how you feel the next day. Do not, as Chris said, be a hero. Do not persevere. Do not push through. There's no need. You don't need to. You've got a long time to plan. And if that 10K is in X date and you need to push it back, then you push it back. You know, you book another race. You take your time with it. I mean, injury is something that strikes us all, but it's about how we deal with it. And if you do get injured, do not try and self-heal yourself. I've seen that far too much. Go and blooming well see someone. If I get an injury, I'm straight on the phone to my local physio or NKT specialist or whatever, saying, mate, I've done this, I need to be fixed, when can I see you? I never chance trying to fix myself. So yeah, recovery is way more important than people realize.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can add to that I personally had a foot injury. I had plantar fasciitis one year. London Marathon was coming up and I knew my foot wasn't good. But I went for it anyway because I felt that pressure of the big event and I felt like I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I screwed my foot up badly. I was out for months and months. So if you've got an injury, you can always defer a place or the race will come around again next year, but you've got to look after your body. You know, you've only got one, haven't you?
100%, mate. 100%.
Okay. Yeah, so just quickly before we start winding up, obviously you didn't get a medal at the OMM marathon, but you do have a running medal company, don't you? Just talk to us about that quickly.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, so I run virtual running events, www.virtualrunningevents.com, and we produce virtual running events ranging from 5Ks all the way up to 100K month challenges. All of our medals are bespoke. We design them in-house ourselves and we sell them and produce them. It's great for people that are starting out running, that want a challenge, that are mid-training block and want a little bit of motivation. There's nothing worse than getting into a training plan for 12, 16 weeks and the only thing they've got to look forward to is that race in 16 weeks. Why don't you just think about breaking that up and use your mileage that you're putting in your training plan to put towards a medal, to earn yourself a bit of bling, and to obviously raise money for charity, because we donate a proportion of each medal sale to charity. We choose a new charity every month, and we donate to that charity. The amount of medals we sell, we'll obviously take that portion out and donate to them. And we've raised, I think we've nearly raised over £3,000 for charity since we've been going, which is 18 months. So yeah, if anyone is interested in virtual running events, then drop me a message after this.
Yeah, fantastic. And you also, you designed that website yourself, and you did my website for me, which is www.baze187.com. So you can look at that and see what sort of work Andy does. If there's anyone out there looking to get a website to complement their YouTube channel or anything, how can they go about sorting that out with you?
Yeah, definitely. They can either drop me a message on my YouTube channel, or they can, or just comment on a video, or they can go to my web design website, which is www.arwebsitedesign.co.uk. My portfolio is on there, along with everything else you need to know, and you can get in touch and we can help. I'm doing another running website, which is really exciting, for quite a big running company, which I've managed to get in there with, and that's hopefully going to be going live in the next couple of weeks, which I'm really excited about. So I will announce that nearer the time, but I've been sworn to secrecy at the moment, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Sometimes business has to keep quiet, doesn't it, until it
comes about.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Clean Coach Katie's in the house now. She's just got home from teaching core classes. And yeah, we were just actually talking earlier, me, you, Katie, and Donato, the running guru, about marathon recovery. We were just discussing our different recovery strategies. What are you doing this week to recover well from marathon?
Definitely. So I'm a full advocate of active recovery, but within reason. So I normally, after the last marathon I did, which when I ran the full distance, I'm not including this week, because this week was kind of more like a long run workout for me, because I didn't finish the distance. So I've been able to be really sensible, rest for 3 days completely, and go back out last night and test the legs, and thankfully they felt fine. So I'll run again on Thursday and then on Sunday. However, what I normally do if I run a full marathon is I have a week off. I don't do anything. I just walk, and I walk everywhere, and I keep my legs going, and but I keep them going by walking. And as a rule, I don't tend to run for 7 days at least. It's so important. I mean, this is where injuries occur. People neglect recovery so much, and also mentally, you need to mentally check out. You need to completely just go, right, I've done this massive block of training, I've run this marathon, over you go. I'm going to have my life back for a little bit, for a week. I'm going to eat as much as I want, whatever I want, and no one's going to judge me for it. And I'm just going to keep active by walking, and then I'll do a week of just pure easy running, and then I'll get back into some sessions and stuff. But I never take a risk. I see so many people running a marathon being mentally depleted, let alone physically, mentally depleted. So many people, and you've probably seen it loads, where they come off the back of a marathon and they lose their love for running. They lose their passion, their spark. And they're like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, I know exactly what's going on. You've just trained your backside off. You've run a marathon and you've jumped straight back into it for your next challenge. Give yourself a break. The marathon is mentally taxing, and just get back into it slowly. Book a shorter, faster race. Do something different. That will get your spark back. So definitely active recovery, a lot of walking, easy running if that's what you like doing, but no sessions at all for at least 7 days.
Yeah, I think I do similar, really. I just kind of chill out for a week, because I've done exactly what you've described. I've gone, right, I've finished that marathon, straight on to the next thing, and it's not sustainable over a long period of time. If you went to work and worked an entire year and you never had a week's holiday,
yeah, exactly,
from it. And it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? You've got to have a little break, I reckon.
100%. Yeah, people, hit the nail on the head. If you embark on a training block, you need to rest. You need to recover. You need to let your body check out from everything you've been doing, because my word, you've been putting it under some stress, and you, if you're honest, you've been running through some niggles, you've been running through a few bits and pieces, and you've got to the end, and your body just needs to just kind of shut down. And a lot of people actually do get quite poorly after a marathon, because their body kind of goes, rest, now I'm going to let everything, you know, all that, those germs and illnesses take over, and that's just their body just kind of pushing the reset button, feeling a bit run down, and that's a big sign that you just need to take a step back. So yeah, definitely active recovery within reason.
Yeah, definitely the best option. I think you can't do nothing because you stiffen up too much. You can't do too much because your muscles are depleted. You just got to do something gentle, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. Do something different. Spend some time with the family. You've neglected them for 16 weeks. Go give them a hug.
Yeah, exactly. And they're probably like, forget what you look like by the end of a marathon cycle. So it's definitely a good thing to do.
I've just got my latest training plan for something that I will be announcing on my channel next week, which I'm super excited about, because I haven't been on a plan for 2 months, and I do thrive on being on a plan. But you know, this is what I mean. I've been off a plan for 2 months now. You know, and this marathon training I've been doing has been very much my own thing, what I want when I want. So I've not challenged myself for 2 months, and I'm ready for it. But I showed my wife, and she just looked at me and just walked away. She knows what's coming. She knows what's coming.
I know, poor runners' widows, eh? Right, okay.
Not good.
I think we're pretty much getting to the end of it now. So if anyone else has got any last-minute questions, please do chuck them in. But we're going to sign off very shortly. So yeah, you've finished the Forest of Dean. You'll be announcing another race soon, won't you? But I just saw is it the Hereford half you're doing next?
Yeah, I've got the Hereford half marathon on this Sunday. So it was ambitious to run 2 races back to back, but it was on the knowledge that I'm not going to be racing the Hereford half marathon, or I wasn't going to be. That was the plan. I was just going to go and run it because I kind of just wanted to do a half marathon after all the training I did for Newport. I just wanted to run a half marathon, so there was originally not going to be any pressure on it, and I just go and run whatever I wanted at whatever time, easy pace, so I could scope out the race and see what it was like maybe for next year, because it falls at I like May for racing, and it falls a good time in the year, and it's quite a flat course. So I was originally just going to check it out, but due to the fact that now I didn't bust myself up on Sunday, didn't run as hard as I thought I was going to, have recovered 100% because I didn't really run 26 miles. I'm going to give it a bit of a go, and I'm not going to go all out, but I'm going to go there and make an effort. And then once I finish that, I'm going to have a couple of days completely off, just that. And then I'm going to jump straight into a training plan on Tuesday or Wednesday probably, for a massive race I've got coming up in August, which I will announce next week.
Excellent, mate. And this is exactly why, if you're not subscribed to Andy's channel, please do subscribe. You know, for example, this weekend I've covered Milton Keynes, Andy's covered the Forest of Dean, you're doing Hereford this weekend, I'm doing Run Gatwick. And if you subscribe to more than one running YouTuber, you're going to get a good vast breadth of all the races that are out there and get to see as much as possible. And everyone who's in this live chat, I'd like to see you all subscribing to each other as well, because we've got a good little community building. And I'm just going to also plug another lad, friend of mine, Delroy, has just started a channel. His name's Bunny Pacer. Is sort of going down the line of comedy videos, taking the mick out of the life of a pacer at the moment. So it's quite an interesting watch. So have a look at him, guys. Okay. Is that you saying what a rubbish guest? I just noticed that. No, you've been brilliant, mate. Thanks for coming on. So yeah, I think we're pretty much done on the talking of the topics we wanted to do. Is there anything you want to add, mate, before we sign off for the night?
I don't think so, mate. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been nice to be on the receiving end of a live stream, which is pretty cool, because I'm normally the one asking the questions, but I do love these live streams. Keep them going, mate. I think for any other running YouTubers that are watching, and you will agree with me, I think it's a fantastic way to interact with people. It's nice to split that divide from here I am behind a screen to here I am in real life, because the chances are a lot of people might not be able to meet you in real life, but if they can talk to you on a live stream, it kind of brings a connection. And I think live stream is a great way to build a community, and something I've been doing for a while. I know you're now doing, and it's good to see a few more people doing, because it just connects people so much better. So if there are any other running YouTubers watching, get on the live stream, have some fun, get some chat going, get some community building, and let's grow this whole running scene together.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody wants to, ask how to do a live stream, I'm happy to talk about it. It's not a big secret or nothing. So, get in touch. Andy's links are below. Subscribe to all Andy's social channels to keep in touch with him. Thanks very much for watching this live stream. So that's episode 9, I think. So, or 8, did I say? I can't remember. But anyway, next week, I haven't got a guest lined up, but I'll get someone lined up. And I'll see you all then. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and press the bell notification so that you're alerted when there's going to be a live stream. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
Take care, guys.